In my last two lectures, that is lecture number 04 and 05 of semiconductors, I have clearly explained the formation of a N-type semiconductor and a P-type semiconductor. Now, how to form a N-type semiconductor? You take an intrinsic semiconductor, dope with a pentavalent impurity, a N-type semiconductor will be formed where electrons are the majority charge carriers and holes are the minority charge carriers. There will be pentavalent impurity ions. Those are called as donor impurities. How a P-type semiconductor will be formed? A P-type semiconductor will be formed by doping an intrinsic semiconductor with a trivalent impurity. Now holes become the majority charge carriers and electrons are the minority charge carriers. And the impurity ions, that is nothing but the trivalent impurity, those becomes negative ions and those are called as acceptor impurities. These N or P-type semiconductors don't have any electrical conductivity of their own. So what you have to do is, you have to combine both P and N-type semiconductors together. Now how to combine the N and P-type semiconductors? You take a N-type semiconductor, take P-type semiconductor and join them. Now what happens is, near the junction here, the space between the junction will be more than the interatomic distance. If it is more, what will happen is the charge carriers will not cross through the junction, hence there is no conductivity. What you have to do is, you have to join P and N-type semiconductors such that the boundary is continuous, it is not abrupt, for which a pure semiconductor is taken, that is intrinsic semiconductor is taken. One side you dope with the pentavalent impurity and another side you dope with the trivalent impurity. Now here this side becomes P-type and this side becomes a N-type semiconductor. Now this is how you join a P and N-type semiconductors. After combining the two semiconductors, this is the structure at T is equal to 0, that is immediately when you join the semiconductors. When you join the semiconductor, see here, in the N-type, electrons are more in number. In P-type, the concentration of holes are more. That is, these are nothing but the majority charge carriers in their respective regions. Electrons are the majority charge carriers in N and holes are the majority charge carriers in P. So the concentration of majority charge carriers are more. Due to this, the majority charge carriers diffuse across the junction. That is, electrons will diffuse from N side to P side and holes will diffuse from P side to N side. See, holes will not move actually. This is only for the sake of explanation. Then how we can say that holes are moving? See, if the electrons are moving from left to right or right to left, the holes are moving to the opposite direction of electrons. Always it is true. So when the PN junction is formed, due to the concentration gradient of majority charge carriers, these majority charge carriers will diffuse. So again, holes will not move. Now how we can explain it? You can convince this in another way. Actually what happens is, the electron will go and recombine with this hole. Electron will cross the junction and recombine with the hole. Electron crosses junction and recombines with the hole. Now you don't find any free electron. This free electron. You don't find this free electron. You don't find this free electron. You don't find these holes. Why? Because these holes are filled by these free electrons. Due to this, a situation will arise like this. Here, the majority charge carriers cross the junction, or the majority charge carriers diffuse across the junction, and you know that due to the movement of charge carriers there will be a current. That current is called as diffusion current. I will represent this as I diffusion. Immediately when the PN junction is formed, the diffusion current is more because the concentration gradient is more. As the time goes, the concentration gradient slowly decreases. Therefore, I diffusion will decrease. This is one thing happens. when the majority charge carriers cross the junction, they leave behind the respective ions. That is, near this n side, only positive ions will be left out, and here there will be only negative ions will be left out, like this. See here. So there are no electrons and holes along with these ions. Why? Because these electrons have recombined with this hole. That is why you don't find any free electrons or holes there. Okay. Now near the junction, there will be a region which does not contain any charge carriers. This is called depletion region. Remember, ions are not the charge carriers in the case of a semiconductor. Electrons and holes are the charge carriers in the case of a semiconductor. Now, due to this accumulation of ions, there will be a potential difference created across the junction with this polarity. This is a negative ion, so lower polarity. These are the positive ions, so this side will be at higher potential. When the potential is created in this with this polarity, there will be one electric field which is generated from higher potential to the lower potential. This is the electric field across the junction. Now, when the electric field is applied, say in the case of a conductor, you take this is the electric field, this is the potential applied. Due to this, this is the direction of electric field, and electrons will drift opposite to the direction of electric field. So here also the same thing happens. This is the direction of electric field. Due to this electric field, electrons will drift from p side to n side, and holes will drift from n side to p side. Again, holes will not move. This is only for the sake of explanation. So we concentrate on electrons now. Electrons will drift from p side to n side. So this is nothing but the movement of charge carriers, which give rise to another current that is called drift current. I call this as I drift. What is the direction of drift current? Drift current is from n side to p side, because electrons go from or drift from p side to n side. Therefore, this current is from n side to p side. Now you can see the direction of diffusion current and drift current are opposite. Now, as the time goes, what happens? You know already the diffusion current decreases, and more charge carriers cross the junction. But remember, the rate at which they cross will decrease. That is why the diffusion current decreases. But the number of charge carriers crossing the junction increase. Therefore, the width of the depletion region also increase. Hence, the potential across the junction also increase. Therefore, electric field increases. Now, more and more electrons go from p side to n side. That is, more and more electrons go against the direction of electric field. When more and more electrons go against the electric field, the drift current will increase. So, as the time goes, this is the time. I'll write small t. As the time elapses, the drift current increases and diffusion current decreases, and you know that the two currents are opposite in nature, and at one point the drift current and diffusion current are equal. Therefore, they will cancel out each other. Once they are cancel out each other, then no more effective movement of charge carriers. If 100 electrons move from here to here, 100 electrons will go from here to here, because the current is same, both the currents. Therefore, what is the effective current? It will be 0. And that condition is called equilibrium. So diffusion current and drift current will flow till an equilibrium is reached. So at equilibrium, the width of the depletion region is fixed. and the potential also will be fixed, and this potential is called barrier potential. Now electrons cannot move now. Why electrons will not move? Because you know that electrons will move from lower potential to the higher potential. Here see, electrons are majority number here, but this potential is higher than this potential. Therefore, electrons will not go from higher potential to lower potential. Electrons will go from lower potential to higher potential. So this potential acts as a barrier for the further flow of charge carriers. That is why this potential is called barrier potential. Now, if any electron want to cross the junction, it has to overcome this barrier potential. Now, how much is the barrier potential? Barrier potential for silicon, it is 0.7 volt, and for germanium, it is 0.2 to 0.3 volt. This is the barrier potential for silicon and germanium. Now, what does it mean? For silicon, if the electrons want to cross the junction from N side to P side, it has to get a voltage of 0.7 volt. If germanium is used, then the electrons require 0.2 to 0.3 volt to cross the junction. Take this junction here to here. This is the depletion region. Here the potential is more because here there are positive ions. Here the potential is less. You join the two like this, and this is called the potential gradient across the junction. Potential gradient or the electric field. Now therefore electric field gradually changes like this, and from here to here this is called height of the barrier. Now if any electron want to cross a junction, it has to overcome this height of the barrier. Now this is called a PN junction. Actually it is unbiased PN junction. What do you mean by unbiased PN junction? This is a PN junction to which no voltage is applied. So no biasing is applied or no voltage is applied. So this is called as an unbiased PN junction. Now this is how a depletion region is formed, and what is the requirement for the charge carriers to cross the junction and all. And this is very much required to understand PN diodes. Why? Because in the PN diodes or any sort of diodes or transistors, the basic element is a PN junction.